Why is it that the children we raise with unwavering devotion so often drift away, as if forgetting the warmth of their childhood home? It's a question that haunts the quiet moments of many older parents, a source of quiet grief and the bitter sense of being forgotten. The answer is rarely as simple as it seems. Life often presents us with trials that force us to redefine our understanding of love, duty, and support. Today, we share the story of Nadezhda Vasilievna, a woman who dedicated her entire life to her son, only to face an unforeseen test that would change her destiny. This is a story of a mother's boundless love, of the complex circumstances that can push even the closest of relatives to the brink of estrangement, and of the profound truth that a family's real strength lies in supporting one another, no matter the cost. Nadezhda Vasilievna was left a widow far too soon. Her husband was taken in a car accident when their son, Alexei, was only 3. On that day, she made a silent vow. Her child would want for nothing. She threw herself into a life of relentless work, taking on multiple jobs, enduring night shifts, all to secure a worthy future for her son. Denying herself every comfort, Nadezhda lived for a single purpose: to see Alexei become a happy and successful man. Every new day began with thoughts of him. She cooked his favorite meals, helped him with his studies, and always found time to listen to his worries. When Alexei was accepted into a prestigious university, her pride knew no bounds. Despite her own fatigue and advancing age, she continued to work tirelessly to support him financially. Even when it became difficult, she never complained. For Alexei, she was prepared to do anything. The years flew by in a blur. Alexei graduated with honors, found a good job, and built a successful career. For Nadezhda, it was the fulfillment of all her dreams. She believed that with the hardships behind them, a peaceful old age surrounded by family awaited. Alexei married, and it seemed his life was perfectly settled. She hoped he would now visit more often, and that her home would once again be filled with the sound of children's laughter. This time, her grandchildren's. However, reality unfolded very differently from her dreams. Gradually, her son began to pull away. First, the calls became less frequent. Then, the visits dwindled to a few times a year. Each time, Alexei seemed more preoccupied, with less and less time to spare for his mother. Nadezhda tried to understand the reason for this growing distance, but was afraid to ask him directly. One day, she decided to call him herself, only to be met with a cool, detached voice. "Mom, I'm in a meeting. Let's talk later." That later stretched into a month. When Alexei finally did visit, the encounter was far from what she had hoped for. Instead of a warm reunion, he brought a brochure. On its glossy cover were the words, "Comfort and care, a home for the elderly." It was the beginning of a shift in their relationship that would become Nadezhda's heaviest burden. Alexei's words about the retirement home were spoken with such conviction that Nadezhda had no doubt he was serious. She felt a knot tighten in her chest, a painful mix of shock and disappointment. Just yesterday, it seemed the son for whom she had sacrificed her own life would always be by her side. Now before her stood a stranger, cold and distant. "You want to put me in a nursing home?" she asked, her voice trembling as she fought to conceal her emotions. Alexei avoided her gaze, and as if making an excuse, replied, "Mom, it's for your own good. Nastya and I have a lot on our plates right now. The kids need attention. There, you'll be cared for by professionals." Every word felt like a calculated reason to get rid of her, and each one pierced her heart, leaving a deep wound. She tried to pinpoint the moment their relationship had soured. They were once so close, and now an impassable chasm lay between them. After that conversation, Alexei hardly ever came by. The calls became rare and brief, the conversations formal and devoid of warmth. Nadezhda refused to believe her son had become indifferent to her existence. But the thought returned to her more and more often. Once, she tried calling him again, but his phone was switched off. She tried contacting his wife, but her response was cold and dismissive. "Alexei is out of town. He'll call you himself when he gets back." These words only amplified the anxiety in her soul. She couldn't understand what was happening to her son, why he had grown so distant, so alien. For a long time, Nadezhda replayed the day Alexei brought the brochure. She searched for even a sliver of concern in his actions, but all she felt was an overwhelming sense of loneliness and worthlessness. A few days after their last conversation, she found a letter in her mailbox. It looked unusual, a plain envelope with no return address. Inside was a photograph of their old house and a short note. "Mom, forgive me." These words turned her world upside down. Nadezhda read the short note over and over, trying to find a hidden meaning. "Mom, forgive me." What could it mean? She stared at the photograph of the old house, the place where she had spent her best years with Alexei. Why would he bring up the home they had sold so many years ago? Her anxiety grew with each passing day. She tried to reach her son, but all his phones remained off. Her attempts to contact his wife led nowhere. Nastya's answers were short and reluctant. "He'll call you when he returns." Her voice was indifferent, as if the old woman's alarm was of no concern to her. Time dragged on painfully. Nadezhda paced her apartment day after day, the photograph clutched in her hand. What could have happened to her son? Why would he suddenly vanish, leaving only this strange message? The uncertainty was unbearable, but she could no longer sit and wait. Nadezhda decided to call Ivan Petrovich, an old family friend who had always been there in difficult times. Perhaps he knew something, or could at least advise her on what to do. With a trembling hand, she dialed his number. "Hello, Ivan Petrovich," she said, her voice shaking with emotion. A short pause hung on the line, followed by a quiet sigh. "Nadezhda, it's better if you come over. We need to talk." Her friend's words only deepened her sense of dread. Without wasting a moment, Nadezhda quickly got ready, and an hour later, she was standing on his doorstep. Ivan Petrovich met her with an unusually serious expression. He had always been a cheerful and lively man, but now his face was etched with worry. "Sit down, Nadezhda. I'll be direct," he began after a short pause. Listening to his story, she could scarcely believe what she was hearing. Alexei had run into catastrophic trouble. His business had collapsed, leaving him buried under crushing debt. Creditors had begun making threats. To shield his family from danger and to spare his mother the anguish, he had decided to disappear off the grid, hoping to solve everything on his own. It seemed he had failed. The letter he left for her was his own form of a farewell. Ivan Petrovich sighed and added, "He asked me not to trouble anyone, especially you. He said he didn't want you to worry." Nadezhda sat in silence for a long time, processing what she had heard. Her heart ached for her son, who had always seemed so strong and confident but was now in desperate need of help, even if he wouldn't admit it. She knew that if left alone, he could lose all hope. "Thank you, Ivan Petrovich," she said quietly, rising to her feet. The fear in her eyes was gone, replaced by a steely resolve. She could not abandon her son in his time of need. No matter how old he was, Nadezhda decided she had to do everything in her power to help Alexei out of this crisis. The next day, she took out the savings she had been putting aside for a rainy day. If that day had come, it was time to use them. Her goal now was not just to help her son financially, but to restore his faith in himself. And so began a mother's active campaign to save her son. The next day, Nadezhda went to the bank to withdraw her life savings. She sat in the long queue, clutching the old leather wallet that held her documents. Her mind was consumed by one thought: how to help her son, who had fallen into such dire straits. When her turn came, the bank teller looked at her carefully and asked, "Are you sure you want to withdraw the entire amount?" Nadezhda nodded. But then the teller offered a piece of unexpected news. "You have another account, ma'am. It was opened 5 years ago." She was surprised. She knew for a fact she hadn't opened any additional accounts. A quick check revealed the truth. It had been opened by Alexei. He had been quietly setting money aside for her, just in case of unforeseen circumstances. This news moved her to tears. Despite his own struggles, her son had been thinking of her future all along. He did care about me all this time, she thought, feeling a surge of strength. She withdrew the money and, determined to act immediately, went to find Alexei. When she appeared on the doorstep of his modest home, Alexei was stunned and confused. "Mom, why are you here?" he asked, trying to hide his emotions, but Nadezhda saw through his facade. "I know you're in trouble, and I'm here to help. You are not alone." Alexei was silent for a long time, and then he confessed everything. He told her how his business had crumbled after one bad contract, how creditors began to threaten him, and how he tried to handle it all himself so as not to burden his family. Nadezhda listened with compassion, but without a single word of reproach. She knew that what he needed now was not pity, but support. "We will sort this out together," she said firmly. For Alexei, those words were a turning point, and so began the rebuilding of his life, in which a mother's love and wisdom would play the leading role. From that day forward, Alexei's life slowly began to return to normal. At his mother's insistence, they moved back to their hometown, where everything had once begun. Nadezhda knew they had old friends there who could support her son. The first thing she did was arrange a meeting with a lawyer who helped them draft a debt restructuring plan. At first, Alexei doubted it would work, but his mother was resolute in her decision not to give up. Ivan Petrovich, their old friend, offered Alexei a job at one of his companies so he could gradually start earning again. Alexei gratefully accepted and threw himself into his work. It was difficult at first. The debt still loomed over him, and he had to earn back people's trust. But his mother was always there, encouraging him and reminding him that even the darkest times can be overcome if you don't give up. With each passing day, Alexei felt that along with his exhaustion, a new hope was taking root in his heart. The hope of regaining stability and never again letting down those who believed in him. A few months later, he could speak with confidence about his small but significant successes. A year went by. Alexei had paid off the bulk of his creditors. One evening, he returned home, hugged his mother, and said with gratitude, "Mom, I couldn't have done this without you." Nadezhda simply smiled, looking at her son with pride, believing that everything was truly getting better and that a quiet life lay ahead. But one day, unexpected visitors arrived at their door. They were the men to whom he still owed a substantial sum. They gave him an ultimatum. Either he paid back the remaining debt within a month, or they would take his apartment. This threat brought back all the fear and uncertainty Alexei had fought so hard to overcome. Like a clap of thunder on a clear day, Alexei stood in silence, trying to grasp the gravity of the situation. The threat of losing his apartment knocked him off his feet, and he looked utterly lost. "I was just getting back on my feet. Why is everything falling apart again?" he murmured, his head bowed. Nadezhda saw her son teetering on the edge of despair once more, but instead of surrendering to fear, she decided to act. "We will get through this," she said firmly, looking him straight in the eye. Her voice was calm and confident, as if these threatening men had no power over them. She knew that the most important thing now was to hold on to faith and not let Alexei break. All night, Nadezhda thought about how to find a way out. She considered every possible option, asking friends for help again, finding extra work, selling what was no longer needed. Her heart ached for her son, who was once again in a difficult spot, but retreat was not an option. In the morning, she insisted on a meeting with the creditors, despite Alexei's resistance. "You shouldn't face this alone," she told him. "We are in this together." The meeting was tense. 3 men with cold stares sat across from them. Alexei looked nervous, but Nadezhda maintained absolute composure. "We haven't come empty-handed," she began firmly. "We have part of the sum, and we propose to restructure the rest of the debt." The men exchanged glances. Then one of them asked with a hint of disdain, "Why should we accommodate you?" Nadezhda paused and replied, "Because otherwise, you will get nothing." The confidence in her voice made them think. After a brief discussion, their leader announced, "Fine, you have 3 months. If the debt isn't paid by then, you'll be left with nothing." Those 3 months were the most grueling period of their lives. Alexei worked without a day off, seizing any opportunity to earn money. He would come home late, exhausted and weary, but every evening his mother would greet him with a hot dinner and warm words of encouragement. Nadezhda didn't sit idle either. She contacted relatives, their old friend Ivan Petrovich, and even people she hadn't seen in years. Some offered a small amount of financial help, others found side jobs for Alexei. She also sold some of her belongings that no longer held special value, understanding that saving their home was what mattered most. The pressure mounted with each passing day, but Alexei, inspired by his mother's strength and determination, did not give up. In moments of despair, he would remember her words, "You are not alone. We will get through this." and it would help him get back on his feet. Finally, the day came to make the last payment. Alexei felt a powerful wave of anxiety but tried not to show it. Nadezhda, in contrast, remained outwardly calm, though her heart was pounding. They walked into the creditor's office with the final sum. Alexei handed over the money, and after a brief verification, the men signed the documents confirming the debt was fully paid. In that moment, he felt an incredible sense of relief. As they left the office, Alexei stopped, looked at his mother, and said with a voice thick with emotion, "You saved me, Mom. Not just with money. You taught me not to give up when everything seems lost." Nadezhda smiled, embracing her son. "And you saved me, Alexei. You gave me a reason to live, a reason to fight." This story of Nadezhda and her son Alexei shows that even in the most difficult times, the most important thing is to never give up. There are moments in life when it feels like everything is collapsing and there is no way out. But it is precisely then that the support of loved ones can become the lifeline that helps us stay afloat. Parents often sacrifice a great deal for their children, but the true strength of a family lies not only in sacrifice, but in the readiness to come to each other's aid. Mutual trust and care help overcome the most serious obstacles. Alexei learned that true support isn't found in money or status, but in the unwavering love of those who have always been by his side. Nadezhda, in turn, saw that her care had given her son the strength to start over. This story reminds us that family is not a place where you have to demand or prove something, but a sanctuary where you find understanding and warmth. Sometimes children drift away from their parents, but a true connection is never lost, as long as there is a will to listen and support one another. It's important for parents to remember their strength lies in the wisdom they can pass on to their children. And it's vital for children to remember that their parents are not a burden, but the ones always ready to help, if only given the chance. Family is not about perfect people, but about people who are willing to fight for each other in any circumstance. We often fail to notice how important simple words of support and understanding can be. This story also teaches us that we should not be ashamed to ask for help. There is no weakness in it. On the contrary, it is a strength that many underestimate. Nadezhda didn't just help her son financially. She restored his faith in himself and his hope for a better future. And Alexei, despite all his mistakes, found the courage to admit them and start from scratch. The story of Nadezhda and Alexei is a testament to the fact that love, trust, and support are more powerful than any of life's adversities. For the true strength of a family lies in its unity. And as long as we have those who believe in us, we always have a chance for a new beginning, no matter how difficult the path may be. If this story has touched you, please share your thoughts in the comments. Perhaps you have faced similar situations or know stories that teach the importance of family support. We would value your opinions and experiences. Subscribe to our channel to not miss new videos where we discuss life's lessons and share stories of resilience and wisdom. Support this video with a like if you found it meaningful, and don't forget to click the bell to be the first to know about our new releases.